This sweet little number is very easy to enjoy. Let me show you how to make an Allegheny cocktail. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the whiskey nerd, and like I said, this week I'm making a sweet little number that is very easy to enjoy. I'm making an Allegheny cocktail. This recipe comes from 1977 from Stanley Jones, and it's a really nice kind of like take on like a Manhattan, take on one of those classic kind of cocktails, but a bit sweeter and a bit fruitier because it adds a bit of cassis in it. Now, you can use creme de cassis, creme de mure, different variations as long as it's like a blackberry brandy liqueur. Now, his original recipe, Stanley Jones's original recipe, did call for all dry vermouth. So when I was doing a bit of research and a bit of taste testing on this cocktail, I saw that Diffords recommend going for half dry and half like sweet vermouth. Me though, I'm actually preferring it like this with an off dry, so semi-dry, the Bianco vermouth. So it's not a proper fully dry vermouth. It's a bit sweet and a bit like, but a bit dry. So it's kind of halfway between a sweet and a dry vermouth, and I think it works really well here. Just adding a nice bit of sweetness to that kind of more dry, classic Manhattan style cocktail. The other ingredients that are called for are bourbon. For me, I've got my Wild Turkey 101, which for me is just a very classic kind of cocktail bourbon. It has this really nice flavor, like a really classic bourbon profile, but coming in at 101 proof, it delivers a lot of flavor into a final cocktail without being overpowered by the other ingredients like this lemon juice and a little bit of Angostura bitters. But that's enough talking about the cocktail. I think it's time we make it. It is going to be a stirred drink, so we're going to get our mixing glass and we're going to pop a nice rock of ice into there before we measure out our ingredients. Starting off with our bourbon, we're going to go in with 40 ml of our Wild Turkey 101 bourbon, which is going to give us, like I said, a really nice kind of bourbon profile that won't be overpowered by the other ingredients like this semi-sweet, semi-dry Bianco vermouth. It still has that kind of like the botanical notes of the dry vermouth, but just a bit sweeter and a bit less kind of tart and a bit less dry. So we're going to go in with 40 ml of this Bianco vermouth. But if you have your own preference of vermouth, you can go in with whichever one you like. If you like it drier, you can go in with a dry vermouth, or if you like it sweeter, go in with a sweeter vermouth. Next up, it is our cassis. This is from Bowls. It is an alcoholic cassis coming in at 17% alcohol by volume, but again, if you like a creme de mure, if you like different flavors, you can go in with your own, but me, creme de cassis from Bowls is perfectly fine. Going to go in with 10 ml of this. I'm going to be careful pouring that one in because I don't want to like go too sweet. This is going to be a sweet cocktail, but creme de cassis can sometimes be a bit overpowering, so just be careful when you're using it that you don't overshine the other ingredients. Same thing with lemon juice. Freshly squeezed lemon juice, going to go in with 10 ml of my freshly squeezed lemon juice into there. And it's going to add a nice bit of brightness to the cocktail, a nice little bit of flavor to it, and just kind of help it stop being like too dry and too tannic. Lastly, 1 dash of Angostura bitters into there, just like that. To kind of like, for me, Angostura bitters, it's like your salt and your pepper. It's the things you kind of always have to add to a cocktail. It adds this nice base of rich kind of spiciness and just adds a lot of flavor. So I think it works really well here. And then we're going to stir it down for about 30-35 seconds to get it really nice and really cold. Okay, I think this is nicely chilled now, so we're going to be ready to strain it out into a chilled Nick and Nora glass. So we're just going to pop our strainer up top, catch that big old ice cube, and strain it away into there. Just like that. But for a garnish, we're going to go in with a little bit of a lemon twist. Express the oils over the top, just like that. Make sure we get a nice little bit of extra citrusy kind of twinge to it, just because we do have that lemon juice in there. And that right there is how I make an Allegheny cocktail. Now real quick, before I taste this cocktail, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. I put out whiskey reviews every Wednesday, and I put out cocktail recipes every Friday. So if you want to see more like this, make sure you hit subscribe. But right now, let's taste this cocktail. Like, I wasn't lying when I said this was like a sweet little number, because with a slightly sweeter vermouth with that creme de cassis, you get this nice kind of sweet edge to it, but it is at the core of it, it's like one of those kind of classic Manhattan cocktails. You get that bourbon note, you get that dry kind of spicy note from the bourbon, you get the herbal botanicals from the vermouth, you get the kind of notes from the Angostura bitters coming through as well, but it's kind of the lemon juice cuts across it, the creme de cassis rounds it out and makes it just a little bit less kind of tart and less dry and more of like an approachable cocktail. It's still got a bit of bite, it's still got that kind of character of it, like those kind of classic Manhattan cocktails, but it's definitely much more of an approachable drink. And if you're not the kind of fan of those really dry, classic kind of, you know, the Campari based cocktails, the Manhattan, the vermouth cocktails, this might be something that you can enjoy that gives you the same kind of vibe, unless you get those classic kind of notes, but a bit more approachable and a bit more of something that'll be like a bit of a crowd pleaser for anyone who tried it. So I'm going to keep on enjoying this because it is definitely a crowd pleaser, and I will see you next time. Sláinte.